Now, our next story is from Pakistan. It's also about a drone, but I must warn you that it is a very disturbing story. On the night of Wednesday, there was a drone strike that was carried out in South Waziristan. Now, this allegedly is the first drone strike by the Pakistani government since 2018, that is in the last 5 years. And it actually happened in the Zingara region of South Waziristan, just a few hundred kilometers away from the Afghan border. The target apparently were a group of terrorists. This is what the Pakistani government was trying to target. But what happened is that the drone strike ended up killing civilians. Now look at these images. They are very disturbing. We need to warn you. They are two young children. They later succumbed to their injuries at a hospital. They're said to be about 5 to 6 years old. What was their crime? This is a question that the people of Pakistan are asking. This is a question that the people of Waziristan are asking. They're accusing the Pakistani army of targeting civilians in which children have died. Now, for its part, the Pakistani army has denied these charges. What is shocking is that it did not even first acknowledge that the attack took place. It was only once the videos of this aerial drone strike went viral did the DGISPR issue a statement about this attack. Now, this is what the statement reads, and I quote the statement by the ISPR. Upon the presence of information of terrorists in Zingara area of South Waziristan, the security forces carried out an operation. During intense exchange of fire between the security forces and the terrorists, including mortar fire, 8 terrorists were killed, whereas 2 soldiers were injured. Unfortunately, 2 children embraced martyrdom during the exchange of fire. Read the words carefully. It says embraced martyrdom. These are young children, aged 5 and 6 years old, and the Pakistani army claims that they embraced martyrdom when they had no choice, but the fact is that they were there at the time when the Pakistani army decided to carry out the drone strike. The statement has failed to diffuse the anger. Now look at these tweets. Pakistan's civil society is upset at the lack of accountability. They're calling the deaths of children as nothing short of state terrorism. They're accusing the Pakistani military of targeting civilians and killing them at whim. Remember, drone strikes in Pakistan have a history. There have been many people who have been killed. A substantial number of them are civilians, and this has happened in the course of the last 2 decades. And this has also torn the civil society and has also further cultivated the culture of terror, and has also in some ways spawned radicalism as well where it has happened. Now, first it was the Americans who started with this strategy. They carried out such drone strikes, and now it is the Pakistani state which appears to be going after its own civilians, as it appears to be targeting them in drone strike after drone strike. We're talking specifically between the years 2004 and 2017, there were an estimated 424 civilians who were killed in an American drone strike. 424. There was absolutely no accountability, no compensation, and no questions were asked. The trend that was started by the Americans was taken forward by Pakistan, especially in Waziristan. Drone strikes by the state have killed a substantial number of civilians in this region. Now, the government says that these strikes are necessary because it says that these strikes are aimed at terror groups, but the way they end up and what they achieve is they end up killing civilians. So this is the horror that the drones have in fact been wreaking on the people in parts of Pakistan, especially in Waziristan. These drone strikes, although the administration claims are intended to target terrorists, often what is happening is that civilians have become a collateral in the use of these drone strikes. Since 2010, a number of civilians have in fact been killed in some very mysterious attacks that the Pakistani state has offered absolutely no explanation for. There have been numerous reports on human rights abuses by the army, numerous reports of Pakistani civilians losing their entire families in these drone strikes. Look at this report. This is from 2020. This is when a number of Waziristan civilians had in fact hit the streets against the atrocities that were committed by the Pakistani army, predominantly drone strikes that targeted innocent civilian areas. There were similar protests that were also held in 2019, and this was over the alleged harassment of women and children by Pakistan's security forces. The soldiers were accused of conducting aggressive searches and also sexually assaulting local women in remote villages of the region. And just last month, the 28th of February to be precise, thousands of Pashtuns in fact gathered in North Waziristan to protest against the growing police harassment in the region. They also accused the security forces of targeted killings and attacks. Now, these visuals tell you the story of what the Pakistani people have been subjected to. Look at the scale of the anger and the scale of the protest. They were attended by thousands of Pashtuns. Now, the aim was not just to call off the attacks on their homes, but also the daily harassment that they faced by the local authorities. Unfortunately, these rallies are not shown by mainstream media channels in Pakistan, where these mainstream media channels in Pakistan do not even give a voice to the protests that are being staged by the Pakistani people. These protests do not end up as headlines in mainstream Pakistani newspapers. And this leaves the social media as the primary channel for communicating the horrors that are being inflicted upon the common people that unfold in places such as Waziristan. And it's not just Waziristan. Balochistan is another region that witnesses state-sponsored atrocities. The injustice against the Balochis has been well documented. Over the years, Pakistan has systematically suppressed the developments that have unfolded in Balochistan. The anger which the people of Balochistan have expressed, they've squeezed out the natural resources from the region. The high-handed attitude of the Punjab province of Pakistan, the domination of the Punjabis on the Sindhis is something, and the Balochis is something which has been well documented upon. But within Pakistan, for some reason, that just does not seem to make headlines. And there's not one government that you can blame for this. Right from the time of Pervez Musharraf to Nawaz Sharif to Imran Khan and now Shehbaz Sharif, successive governments in Pakistan, along with the help of the Pakistani army, have unleashed unimaginable horror on their own people. And the same Pakistani state, of course, has got the audacity to lecture others. My point is simple. Now, Pakistan likes to call itself the land of pure, but there is nothing pure in actions which result in the death of young children. It is important for Pakistan, of course, to take a hard look in the mirror and ask itself this question: what do these drone strikes achieve? And if the Pakistani people and the Pakistani state protested against American drone strikes in Pakistan, why does the Pakistani government now think it can carry out similar such drone strikes? WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.